Heartwarming moment, little boy, 7, exposes mama's hidden life as CEO transforming dada's struggles. In the cozy heart of Maplewood, the sun peeked through trees, lighting up the smiles on children's faces. But today, it felt like magic wafted through the air. 7-year-old Oliver was about to do something incredible. As he stood in front of his classmates, he held a secret so profound it could change everything. "My mom is a superhero," he exclaimed, and the classroom erupted in excitement. Little did anyone know, the excitement masked the tensions brewing quietly at home. After school, Oliver raced home, fueled by pride. His mom, Sarah, was known for her awards and her powerful voice in the corporate world, a world where she thrived, while his dad, Mike, quietly worked in the shadows of the factory. Each trophy Oliver found in the attic a glimmering testament to Sarah's grit became a part of his project. They were shining reminders of why he admired her so much. "Look at these, Dad!" Oliver exclaimed, showing Mike the boxes full of trophies. But Mike's smile wavered. Each gleaming award was a painful reminder of his silent struggle. He felt more invisible than ever, his worth overshadowed by his wife's success. "Those are great, buddy," Mike replied, forcing a grin that didn't quite reach his eyes. With each day that passed, as Oliver became more determined, Mike's heart grew heavier. He watched as the neighborhood began buzzing about Sarah's achievements. The whispers felt like daggers. "Did you hear? Sarah's company is the best. And her son, what a talented boy." Each compliment aimed at Sarah seemed to dim Mike's light. How could he find his voice in this world where success wore a shiny suit? Then came the annual community fair, a cherished event blooming with homemade pies, laughter, and chatter. Oliver's project was the centerpiece. He planned to unveil it on stage in front of glowing neighbors and friends. Weeks of preparation culminated here, and as excitement bubbled, Mike's discomfort deepened. Standing on the sidelines, listening to conversations comparing his factory job to Sarah's thriving career, Mike's heart clenched. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue." The day of the fair arrived. The energy was electric, jokes floated through the air like butterflies, and laughter echoed among the vibrant stalls. But when Oliver stepped up to present, the claps of admiration melded into a steady drumbeat of tension. He spoke with sparkles in his eyes, sharing how hard-working his mother was, proudly detailing her achievements. But as he delivered each word, Mike's heart sank deeper. It was a moment meant to uplift, yet it opened a chasm in their family. Just then, as Oliver wrapped up to a thunderous applause, Mike's fight-or-flight response surged. In a moment of desperate vulnerability, he confronted Sarah. "You're running a race, and I'm left tracking your path. Is this what we wanted?" Tension hung in the air, Oliver's innocent smile fading to concern. The crowd cheered, but the family was lost amid the noise. Did they truly see each other? As the dust settled, the storm within their hearts began to churn. The tender bond of family felt frayed and raw. Would they learn to weave it together again, or would the expectations tear them apart? In Oliver's heart, hope flickered even as uncertainty loomed like a shadow. Oliver stood frozen on stage, his small hands clapping together in a beat of confusion. The crowd's applause felt like thunder in his ears, but his heart was thumping for an entirely different reason. He was meant to feel proud, to bask in the light of his mom's success, but instead, he felt an unsettling weight. His father's words echoed in his mind, leaving a crumbling sense of dread. As he stepped off the stage, running towards his parents, he suddenly felt far too little for the emotions swirling around him. "Mom, Dad," he began, but the words tangled as Mike walked farther away, his shoulders heavy with something that felt too big for their tiny house. "Wait, where are you going?" Sarah called after him, her voice trembling just enough to catch Oliver's attention. The smile that had adorned her face during his presentation had vanished, replaced by a look of worry. "I just need a moment," he murmured. Mike's back was to them as he headed toward the open green space of the fair. Children continued to giggle and run, unaware of the storm spiraling within his heart. Oliver, Sarah turned to her son, her voice low and shaky. "You did great up there." "I don't think Dad thinks so," he replied, his voice quaking. His mother stepped closer, crouching down until their eyes met. The warmth of her gaze was both comforting and terrifying. He could sense the stakes, the love overshadowed by unspoken fears. "Your dad's just having a tough time. He loves you so much," she said, trying to wrap her words in assurance. But Oliver could see beyond her carefully crafted facade. Right now, she too felt the disconnect, a chasm that crept between all three of them. "I was proud of what you do, Mom. I thought that would make everyone happy," Oliver whispered, tears brimming in his eyes. "It should, sweetheart. I promise it should. It just sometimes happens like this," she said, frustration creasing her brow. She wanted to fix it, to bridge the gap, but how? With a sudden burst of impulsiveness, Oliver ran after Mike, driven by the instinct to fix what felt broken. He dodged between adults and children, small legs pumping with every ounce of determination. "Dad!" he shouted, his voice cracking as he chased down the path that led away from the fair. Mike paused, caught off guard by the urgency in his son's voice. When he turned, something in his expression softened. He knelt down to Oliver's level, the tiredness etched across his face melting just a little. "Hey, buddy, what's wrong?" "I just wanted to tell you." Oliver took a deep breath, steadying himself. "It's okay if you're not as big as Mom. I like that you're my dad." A flicker of surprise flashed across Mike's eyes, soon followed by a glimmer of understanding. But before he could respond, the moment shattered when Sarah appeared, her own tears threatening the composure she fought so hard to maintain. "Mike," she began, desperation woven through her words. "I'm trying to bring home our dreams, but I need your strength too." Where once the air felt thick with tension, a new warmth began to take shape, a pulse of vulnerability that might just reset everything. What would come next for this family caught between love and expectation? As they stood in the midst of the fair, surrounded by laughter yet feeling so alone, they faced a pivotal choice. Would they learn to reconcile their distinct paths or allow the pressure of success to pull them further apart? Oliver's heart raced, sensing the winds of change. Then, just as the first hints of resolution loomed in the air, a loud cheer erupted from behind them, grabbing their attention. It was the fair's highlight event, the unplanned pie-eating contest. Laughter erupted from the crowd, but the warmth of that moment only reminded them of the distance they still had to overcome. Would this fair be the place they gathered their hearts, or the one where they drifted away even further? Oliver watched as a whirlwind of excitement consumed the fairground, laughter and cheers swirled like cotton candy in the air. Yet amid the jubilation, he felt like a lone figure standing beneath a shroud of uncertainty. His heart thudded heavily, caught between his parents, who seemed worlds apart, even with a few feet separating them. "Come on, guys," he urged, looking back and forth between them. "Let us go watch the contest together. It'll be fun." His voice was an earnest plea, the kind only a 7-year-old could muster in the face of parental strife. "Maybe we could," Sarah started, attempting to lighten the mood, but Mike shook his head slightly. "I think I just need to clear my head for a sec," he said, his voice strained like a rubber band stretched too tight. Oliver felt a pang of disappointment. He wanted to keep his family close, to magically dissolve the tension like the steam swirling off a freshly baked pie. "Dad, please," he responded, his eyes wide with desperation. In that moment, Mike's gaze softened, but it was also frayed with something deeper: shame, regret, or perhaps a fear that felt too vulnerable to express. "Buddy, it's just I'm not sure how I'm feeling right now." It was a simple sentence, but it struck Oliver like a stone thrown into a still pond, sending ripples through the air thick with silence. He took a tentative step closer, his small frame quivering with emotion. "You can tell me. I want to help." Sarah looked at her son, seeing the determination in his eyes. Her heart swelled with a blend of pride and sorrow, knowing too well how heavy the burdens they carried were. "Honey, it's okay for him to feel lost. We all feel that way sometimes. But we're a family," Oliver exclaimed, frustration seeping through his innocent words. "Families talk. They don't just walk away." Mike's breath caught in his throat. His son's unwavering faith struck him to the core. In a world full of achievements and painted smiles, Oliver held a raw truth, one that resonated deeper than success. "You're right, Oliver," he whispered, his voice thickening with emotion. "I'm just scared I'm not doing enough. I don't want to let you both down." The air around them pulsed with truth. Oliver felt the tension ease, albeit slightly. He didn't have the answers, but he could feel the connection they shared. "Maybe we could take a break, then come back together after?" Sarah suggested softly, and even though her voice trembled, there was an underlying strength that rippled through her. "We can go watch the contest as a family." Mike hesitated, glancing toward the wave of festivities. The noise, the laughter, the pie-eating challenge were calling to him. "You want to do that, Oliver?" he asked, kneeling back down, searching his son's eyes for answers. "Yes. I want us to be happy together." Oliver's face lit up, igniting something hopeful in the air. With a drawn-out breath, Mike finally nodded, resolving to try. "Okay. Let us do this." As they moved toward the cheering crowd, the burst of laughter swept over them like a warm breeze, momentarily easing their worries. They approached the contest, where whipped cream splattered on eager faces as competitors dove into a sea of dessert. Oliver's giggles bubbled up, and for the first time in a long while, silence was replaced by sounds of joy. But would this be enough to mend the fractures lingering in their hearts? As the fair continued to sparkle around them, Oliver remained watchful, feeling the weight of their unspoken questions. "Hey, what's next?" he shouted, eyes ablaze with curiosity. His excitement echoed against the fair's backdrop, and his parents exchanged glances that held promises unspoken. With unresolved barriers still looming, what unexpected challenges would unfold in the hours left of the fair? Oliver bounced on his feet, pulling his parents closer to the edge of the contest area. The scent of sweet treats wafted through the air, mixing with the laughter and cheers from the spectators. A bright red banner flapped above them, declaring the Great Pie-Eating Contest. "Look, look!" he exclaimed, pointing to the makeshift stage, where contestants were about to dive into pies piled high. His heart raced with excitement, but he also sensed a faint shadow still flickering between his parents. "Let us find a good spot," Sarah said, her tone cheerful. She took Oliver's hand, and he felt his chest swell with hope that today could erase some of the heaviness that had been creeping in. As they found a place near the front, Mike took a deep breath, scanning the crowd. He wanted to feel the lightness that came with laughter, but doubt clung to him. He leaned down, whispering to Oliver, "Do you think they're really going to eat all that pie?" Oliver tilted his head, eyes wide. "Of course. It's a contest. They have to." That innocence echoed in Mike's heart. He turned his gaze back to the crowd, scanning the faces of strangers, families enjoying the day. A woman nearby laughed so hard that pie filling dripped off her chin. It made Mike chuckle, breaking the tension just a bit. Finally, with the sound of a buzzer, the contestants plunged their faces into pies. Cream splattered, laughter erupted, and Oliver erupted too as joyful squeals filled the air. Mike felt a small smile tug at the corners of his mouth as he watched his son dance with glee. But still, amidst the shimmering happiness, his mind wandered. How would he fix this? The puzzle of his family weighed on him. "What's wrong, Dad?" Oliver asked, suddenly serious. His eyes were deep pools of worry. "Nothing, buddy." Just thinking. More truths bubbled in Mike's chest, but he held them back. His son deserved better than to carry the weight of adult worries. Oliver nodded, visibly trying to absorb the information, but the concern in his little brows suggested he felt something even if he couldn't name it. As the contest reached its chaotic climax, a woman, vibrant and loud, burst from the crowd, veering straight towards them. It was Clara, a friend of Sarah's from work. "Sarah. Is that you? I didn't know you'd be here." "Clara. Oh my goodness!" Sarah exclaimed, her face lighting up. In that moment, Mike's heart sank. He had seen this glow of excitement before, a reminder of a life that felt separate from what they were now. "Hey, I'm Mike," he said stiffly, forcing a smile. The two women began chattering like old friends, erupting in laughter, but Mike felt the distance widening again. "Do you remember the company picnic?" Clara continued, her voice rich with nostalgia. You should see the new project Sarah's been leading. It's incredible. Oliver glanced between the adults, sensing the shift. Mom's a CEO? He asked, his little voice carrying the weight of surprise. The laughter faded, and Mike shifted, suddenly uneasy. Sarah laughed nervously, casting a glance at Mike, but the warmth in Oliver's eyes sparked something unexpected in him. Wow, that's so cool, Mom! Oliver exclaimed. A flicker of pride crossed Sarah's face, quickly buried beneath uncertainty. It's just a job, sweetheart. But I love it. Mike's heart raced as he listened. How many times had he brushed aside her achievements, feeling less than adequate? But there was something tender in Oliver's admiration. He smiled, caught between two conflicting worlds. As the contest wrapped up and pie crumbs lit the air like confetti, laughter overflowed everywhere. They were a family of three, but the connection felt frayed, tied together by unspoken challenges. Can we do more fun stuff together? Oliver asked, a hint of hope in his tone. Yes, let us. Sarah replied, glancing at Mike, seeking his support. And with that, Mike felt a glimmer of decision light within him. Perhaps they could bridge this gap with shared experiences starting here at the fair. But would a simple day of fun be enough to uncover the truths they had hidden for so long? The contest ended, yet both parents remained tethered by their silent fears. What happens next? Oliver wondered aloud, eyes shining in the evening sun, brimming with anticipation and innocence. In that moment, Mike felt the weight of impending choices shift. The start of something new was just beyond the horizon. What would they find together as they stepped into the unknown? The crowd began to thin as the pie-eating contest came to a close, laughter still echoing in the fading afternoon light. Mike glanced at Sarah, who was adjusting Oliver's cap, smoothing his hair back as they prepared to leave the makeshift stage behind. Despite their prior unease, a new energy vibrated in the air, an unexpected connection born out of Oliver's innocent curiosity. Hey, let us grab some cotton candy before we go, Sarah suggested, her eyes lighting up, shifting the mood once more. Oliver's face broke into a smile that could light up the darkest nights. He was ready for more adventure. Can I have blue? Oliver asked, bouncing on his toes, eyes sparkling like the fairground lights around them. Sure, buddy. Blue it is, Sarah replied warmly. Mike watched as she scanned the crowded fair, her earlier tension now replaced with enthusiasm. He felt a wave of hope surge through him. Let us stick together, okay? Mike asserted, sensing the way the crowd surged forward. And hold my hand tightly, Oliver. With laughter and squeals guiding them, they navigated through booths filled with vibrant prizes and games. Cotton candy vendors shouted about their creations, and Oliver was captivated. In that moment, the worries that had entwined Mike's chest loosened just a little, allowing room for something different, a budding optimism. As they approached the cotton candy stand, Oliver's excitement bubbled over. Look, Dad! They have a giant one! He jumped, pointing at the towering cloud of sugary delight. I can't believe it! That's enormous! Sarah chuckled, her light-heartedness infectious. Mike stepped forward and bought the giant pink fluff. Watching Oliver's face transform with delight as he took a bite, Mike felt something shift inside. Maybe today wasn't just an escape from their problems, but the spark they needed to ignite deeper conversations. Mom, Oliver said, his mouth covered in sugary strands. You're a CEO. That's really cool. Do you have secret meetings with statesmen? Sarah laughed, her cheeks flushing slightly. Not exactly, sweetheart. But I do work hard. Just like your dad does. Right, Dad? Oliver turned hopefully to Mike, eyes wide with admiration. Well, yeah, Mike replied, feeling a warmth grow in his chest. Dad works hard too. Oliver nodded vigorously, taking another big bite of his cotton candy. I want to be a CEO too. Maybe one day, Mike smiled, suddenly feeling the weight of his own hesitations. You can do anything you want. If you dream big, you can be a CEO or anything else. Sarah glanced at Mike, surprise flickering across her features. There was a moment of quiet understanding between them, a spark igniting. Neither of them had voiced their aspirations in a long time, more concerned with survival than ambition. Throughout the fair, they stopped at games, with Oliver winning a small plush toy, which he proudly showed off. The laughter mingled with a feeling that things could shift if they just kept trying. But underlying emotions still surged beneath the surface. As they settled on a park bench to take a breather, the sun now dipping lower, Mike's thoughts turned inward again. Could they really solve the distance that had grown over time? Could they confront the shadows that lingered? "Mom, what do you think makes a family happy?" Oliver asked suddenly, his gaze sincere. The question hung in the air, pulling Mike back into reality and forcing both him and Sarah to ponder deeply. "I think laughter helps." "And time spent together," she began but faltered, looking at Mike. "What do you think?" Mike felt the weight of the question stack against him, and he searched for the right answer. He wanted to respond honestly but feared revealing too much. But how could he say nothing? Oliver's bright eyes awaited an answer, and as Mike struggled, he realized they'd all been circling the truth, waiting for someone to take the first step. Maybe honesty matters too. And love. Love through everything, Mike finally said, voice steady but heart racing. "Yeah." Oliver jumped in, enthusiasm radiating from him. "Like pie. It's best when we share." The words lingered in the air. They seemed simple, yet filled with profound truths. As the sun dipped lower, Mike felt a shift within him, a growing determination to unravel the truths of their family. What would they uncover as they peeled back the layers together? "Can we share more pie memories then?" Oliver chimed in happily, completely unaware of the depth of the moment. In that innocent question, a new chapter began to unfold, and as Mike exchanged meaningful glances with Sarah, he realized that perhaps the answers were not too far away. The shapes of yesterday still shadowed them, but what awaited ahead felt like hope. What would it take to heal the voids they each carried inside? The sun hung low, casting a warm, golden glow over the fairgrounds as the evening breeze whispered through the trees. Families strolled by, laughter and excitement filling the air, but Mike, Sarah, and Oliver sat quietly on the park bench, caught in a moment that felt both fleeting and significant. "More pie memories," Oliver repeated, gnawing thoughtfully on his cotton candy. "Like how we baked that lemon pie last summer and Mom definitely put in too much sugar." He giggled, a clear, bright sound that echoed the innocence of a child's delight. "Hey now. That pie was the best kind of messy," Sarah said, feigning offense. "And it was a masterpiece." Mike chuckled, his heart warming at the tender exchange. What had started as a simple outing was growing into something much deeper, pulling them together like the strands of candy floss in Oliver's hands. "Maybe we should start making new pie memories," Mike suggested, feeling a renewed energy swelling within him. "What if we tried baking a pie together every month? Each one can be a little adventure." "Yeah. And we should make one like a blueberry pie," Oliver exclaimed, his cheeks puffed with cotton candy. "Blueberry pie it is, then," Sarah agreed, her eyes sparkling at the idea. But then, she turned serious. "You know, building these memories matters. It gives us something to look forward to. We should make a family tradition out of it." Mike nodded, understanding that their healing would begin with simple acts like these. "And we can talk through it all. It'll be our time to share what we're feeling, good and bad." "Promise?" Oliver asked, his voice small yet earnest. "Promise," Mike replied, feeling the sincerity bind them together. He glanced at Sarah, whose gaze reflected both hope and vulnerability. The desire to dive deeper into unspoken feelings hummed in the air between them. Just then, a group of kids raced past, faces painted with joy as they jostled one another, competing for positions, laughter spilling over like soda in a shaken can. Mike watched them, memories of his own childhood surfacing. He once loved the fair as a child, chasing after thrills, unaware of the complexities waiting for him in adulthood. "Do you remember your first fair?" he asked Sarah, yearning for a glimpse of the young woman he had fallen for. "I do," she replied softly. "I was about Oliver's age. I was terrified of the roller coaster, but my dad promised me ice cream afterward. I think he just wanted to coax me into the ride." "Did you scream?" Oliver asked, jumping at the chance to relate to his mom. Just a little. Sarah laughed, the sound resonating like music, and Mike noticed how the sunlight glinted off her hair, framing her in a halo of warmth. As a moment of silence fell, he felt the heaviness of their past struggles creeping in again. The trials they had faced, the distance that had formed, he wanted to believe they could break through the barriers that had kept them apart for too long. Do you think our pie memories will fix everything? Oliver's innocent inquiry shattered the silence. Mike felt a pang in his heart. Not everything, buddy. But it's a start, he admitted, looking at Sarah for support. Growing together starts with putting one foot in front of the other. Just like with baking. You mix the ingredients, you let it rise, and sometimes you get a beautiful pie. Or a funny mess, Sarah interjected, and they all laughed. In that laughter, Mike felt a flicker of something, an understanding that this was not just a pie baking club, but their foundation of growth. What was next? But just as the sun dipped below the horizon, a chill swept through him. There were shadows still lurking, unresolved emotions he dared not voice yet. What conversations would they need to have? What truths would surface? As dusk settled, illuminating the fair with twinkling lights, he watched Oliver dart off to another game stall, clutching his toy proudly. Sarah followed, her silhouette outlined by festive twinkling lights. Mike stayed behind for a brief moment, taking it all in, a surprising mix of fear and excitement tingling in his chest. Was this the turning point they had longed for? Or merely another distraction from what lay beneath? He took a deep breath and followed them into the colorful chaos, his heart pondering the answers yet to come. What did he truly want for them? As Mike joined his family, he felt a shift in the air, the possibilities stretching out like threads of cotton candy around them. What new pie would they bake? And what would each sweet slice reveal? The air thickened with excitement as Mike caught up with Sarah and Oliver at the game stall. Bright lights flashed, and the sounds of laughter mingled with cheerful music. Oliver tugged on Sarah's hand, pointing at a ring toss booth. "Mom! Can we play that one?" he pleaded, and Sarah's smile widened, a spark of joy igniting in her eyes. "All right, champ. But just one game," she replied, leaning down to kiss his forehead. Mike felt an overwhelming warmth watching them. It was moments like these that made everything feel lighter, as if they were weaving new threads into their family fabric. As they played, Mike couldn't shake the feeling that beneath this joyful surface, deeper struggles simmered. With each ring tossed and each point scored, he felt a tender longing to address the weight between him and Sarah. The laughter around them was a delightful sound, but it almost felt like a cover-up, like the bright colors of the fair were hiding the gray shadows that loomed on the edges of their family circle. Oliver seemed to thrive in the happiness surrounding him, completely unaware of the complexities lurking just outside their bubble of joy. It made Mike's heart ache. The stakes felt higher now. They were trying to rebuild, but could a few sweet moments at the fair really set them on the right path? "Dad! Look, I won this!" Oliver exclaimed, holding up a small stuffed bear that had glossy eyes and a big smile. "That's awesome, buddy!" Mike responded, genuine pride swelling within him as he ruffled Oliver's hair. But as Oliver squealed with joy and clutched the prize to his chest, Mike noticed Sarah's expression shift, a fleeting moment where her smile faltered and a shadow passed over her features. "Everything okay?" he asked softly, stepping closer. "Yeah, just tired," she lied, her eyes drifting away, momentarily lost in thought. Mike's heart sank. He knew that look. The unvoiced battle behind her eyes was all too familiar. The struggles they faced might not have immediate solutions, but he wanted to tell her that they didn't have to bear it alone. They just needed to find the right moments to speak up. "Maybe we should head back to the pie stand," Mike suggested, trying to lighten the mood. "We can get the ingredients for our first blueberry pie." "Yay!" Oliver cheered, his excitement infectious. Sarah managed a bright smile, though Mike could see it didn't quite reach her eyes. As they strolled toward the pie booth, the air thick with sugary scents, Mike took a breath, preparing to voice what had been gnawing at him. "Sarah, can we talk about wow, look? A clown!" Oliver interrupted, pointing at a performer juggling while balancing on a unicycle. "Let us go watch," Sarah said, her tone shifting just enough to deflect Mike's approach. They followed Oliver, but Mike's heart sank. He wanted to confront the underlying issues, to build a bridge instead of letting the gaps grow. Each moment felt like a missed opportunity to heal. As they watched the clown pull off a series of impressive tricks, laughter erupted around them. Yet in the back of Mike's mind, the weight remained, compounded by the subtle changes in Sarah's demeanor. "Let us take a picture," Sarah suggested, pulling out her phone, forcing another bright smile that felt more like a mask than genuine happiness. As they posed together, Oliver hanging onto both parents, Mike felt the pull in his heart. Behind the smiles, he sensed a stronger emotion brewing, the fear of what was to come if they didn't address the truths they were avoiding. Just then, Oliver looked up, eyes wide with wonder. "Can we make all the pies and take pictures of each one?" "Yes. That's a great idea," Sarah replied, her smile returning, and it warmed Mike. Even amid the uncertainty the moment lingered for every cheer from Oliver, there was also a burgeoning storm within their hearts, a need to confront what remained unsaid. How could they turn all these little adventures into something heartfelt? How could they ensure it wasn't just distraction but rather a catalyst for their growth? With every snap of the camera, they were crafting memories, but would those memories hold enough weight to carry them through the uncharted waters ahead? As they made their way to the pie booth, Mike sensed that while they were building something beautiful, it was only the beginning. The bittersweet tug of reality loomed, leaving them all to wonder what truths awaited them beneath the layers of sweetness. What would it take to open up their hearts? Would they be ready for the conversations that were waiting, just outside their laughter? The pie stand came into view, a wooden booth adorned with colorful banners and wafting delights of baked goods. Oliver dashed ahead, excitement bubbling over as he reached the table full of fresh fruit, flour, and jars of sugar. "Look, Mom! They have blueberries. Can we get those?" he called out. "Of course," Sarah replied, her voice brightening as she moved closer to her son. Watching them together felt like a warm embrace for Mike. He cherished these snippets of joy, even if a part of him remained awash in uncertainty. "Let us grab everything we need." Mike joined in, moving to help pick out items. Yet, he felt an urge to pause, to take a breath and face what hung between them. The thought echoed in his mind, a persistent whisper. He reached for some blueberries, but Sarah's gaze drifted through the crowd. It was like she was physically there but emotionally miles away, a worrying sign that nagged at him. "Hey, Sarah," he tried again. "Can we talk? Would you look at this?" She suddenly exclaimed, pointing towards a nearby stall where a line of colorful aprons beckoned. "They have matching aprons for our pie making. Can I have one, too?" Oliver chimed in, his eyes sparkling. "Of course we all can get matching ones." She grinned, her enthusiasm returning, yet Mike sensed the effort behind it. The bright apron idea felt like another diversion, a tempting treat to keep the deeper issues at bay. As they approached the stall, Mike grabbed Sarah by the elbow gently, pulling her close to him. "Can we talk after we get the aprons?" She looked at him, her expression a mix of appreciation and trepidation. "Okay, after the aprons." There was no denying that they had turned back towards the lightheartedness, but Mike couldn't help but feel the growing heaviness in her response. Was she truly okay or just painting over the cracks? They browsed through the aprons, Oliver bouncing with excitement as he picked a vibrant blue one. "Mom, look at mine. It's just like yours." He displayed the fabric as if it were a trophy. "Perfect. You're going to make the best pie," Sarah encouraged, her smile faltering for just a moment. Mike saw it and felt the same ache resurge. He wanted to be the steady rock for both of them, but he also wanted to share the weight of their struggles. As they moved back towards the pie booth, Mike's heart swirled with the desire to have that important conversation. He knew they needed to open up. The laughter and smiles were simply band-aids over wounds that needed tending. The fear of what lay beneath their surface played in his mind like a haunting whisper. "Can I push the cart, Dad?" Oliver asked, tugging on the handle with a grin. "Sure, buddy," Mike replied, watching as Oliver took charge, his small frame determined. They all moved together, but he could feel the distance between him and Sarah, a gap filled with unspoken words. Once they finally reached the pie booth, they began selecting ingredients. Every choice felt pivotal, like the ingredients needed to bake not just a pie, but the foundation for their family's future. "You know," Mike said, dipping into the sweetness of the moment, "making pies together can be our thing from now on." A way to connect again, like when we used to. Right, Sarah said, her smile returning with a hint of genuine warmth. But Mike noticed she glanced over at Oliver quickly, her protective instincts kicking in. I think that's a great idea. Maybe we can do it every weekend? Oliver suggested, eyes shining with hope. Every weekend sounds perfect, Mike said, locking eyes with Sarah for just a moment. It was a fleeting second that held so much an invitation wrapped in unspoken understanding, but as they stood there, surrounded by their choices and under the bright afternoon sun, Mike felt that familiar worry creeping back. They were taking an enjoyable step forward, but what about the conversations waiting just beneath the surface? As they wrapped up, grabbing their ingredients, Mike realized that while laughter and memories were being made today, something deeper still loomed over their shoulders like a shadow of truth. That needed to be faced. Little did he know, that moment was just the beginning of revelations that would change everything. Would Oliver uncover more than they intended with his innocent questions? What hidden truths would they have to face not just as a couple, but as a family? Sarah held the vibrant blue apron under her chin, her mind racing with the choices they faced ahead. As they stood there, a ripple of laughter from a nearby family caught her attention, and she couldn't help but smile for a fleeting moment. But that smile was quickly weighed down by the reality gnawing at her heart. The laughter felt distant, like it belonged to someone else. Oliver tugged at the cart, impatient to move on. Can we bake the pie when we get home, Dad? I want to put the blueberries. Absolutely. Mike replied, his voice bright but eyes searching Sarah's for some sign of an opening to their conversation. This was becoming harder than he ever anticipated. He wanted to say something, to grasp that moment and break through the facade they had all been hiding behind, but each time he spoke, the words seemed to catch in his throat. As they left the booth, Sarah leaned down to Oliver. Why don't you grab some flowers from that stand over there? She gestured toward a bustling booth filled with cheerful blooms. It wasn't just Oliver's delight she was trying to spark, it was her own desperate need to fill the air with something sweet and light instead of the heaviness that loomed. With a nod, Oliver sprinted happily toward the flowers, leaving Mike and Sarah alone for a brief moment. The space between them was palpable, thick with unsaid sentiments. Mike, Sarah started, her voice trembling just a hair. About the pie making, I think it's a nice distraction. Distraction? He repeated softly, his heart sinking. Sarah, I don't want this to be just another distraction. I want to talk. About everything. She sighed, glancing at Oliver who was now animatedly picking daisies. Can we do this later? It's not the right time, and Oliver is going to ask questions, Sarah. More and more questions, Mike pressed, his concern illuminated with urgency. How long can we keep pretending everything is okay? It's not. She looked away, guilt flickering in her expression. I know. I don't want to hurt him. I don't want to make it worse. A heavy silence settled between them as they watched their son. How could they unravel the complexities of their lives before a child's innocent eyes? Minutes passed, and finally, Oliver returned, proudly holding a bunch of colorful flowers. Look, Mom. These are perfect. Beautiful, Oliver. Sarah exclaimed, her smile genuine now as she accepted the bouquet. Mike watched them, his heart aching. It was a bittersweet picture of the family they used to be, the carefree moments now tangled in doubt and apprehension. As they made their way towards the exit of the festival, Oliver skipped ahead, chattering away about the pie and the vibrant flowers. Mike looked at Sarah once more, wishing for the right words that would let her know he was there, that he wanted to shoulder the burden together. Let us promise not to let these moments slip away, he finally said, vulnerability threading through his voice. Our family matters more than anything else. We need to fight for it. I want that too, Sarah whispered, her head drooping slightly. But we need to be honest first. Their eyes locked, a flicker of determination igniting amid the chaos of the day. They both knew that change wouldn't come easily, but before they could take the next step, they needed to open the door that had been barred for so long. What do you think Oliver is going to ask when he learns the truth? Mike asked, unease creeping back in. Sarah glanced back toward their son who was now giggling, capturing a butterfly's attention. I just hope he doesn't feel like it's his fault. The thought hung heavily in the air, chilling them both. What they had avoided facing was now racing toward them. The truth was a sharp knife, ready to cut through the fabric of their carefully woven life. As they approached their car, the fear of what lay ahead loomed larger than before. What revelations awaited them, and could they truly confront the shadows of their lives before it was too late? As they climbed into the car, the weight of unspoken emotions hung heavily in the air. Oliver, still animated from the fair, chattered about the flowers and the cotton candy, blissfully unaware of the tension threaded through his parents' silence. Mike exchanged a glance with Sarah, both of them understanding that their family's transformation depended on what was about to unfold. "Can we bake the pie now?" Oliver asked eagerly, his innocent enthusiasm a stark contrast to the anxiety spiraling between Mike and Sarah. "Absolutely, buddy. Let us get home and dive in," Mike replied, forcing a brightness into his voice that he didn't entirely feel. He looked at Sarah again, and this time, there was something different in her gaze and acceptance, a bravery to finally address the shadows. The drive home felt longer than usual, each minute ticking away as they maneuvered through their thoughts. Mike could see Oliver's excitement glowing through the rearview mirror, his heart swelling but also aching under the weight of what lay ahead. As they pulled into their driveway, Mike took a deep breath. "Hey, Oliver, why don't you go wash up? We'll start prepping while you're gone," he suggested, giving Sarah a look that signaled the time had come. "Okay." Oliver bounded out of the car, the door slamming behind him as he raced inside. In the stillness that followed, the tension returned, thickening the air between Mike and Sarah. "Sarah," Mike said softly, approaching her as they stood beside the car. "We need to talk. Not just about the pie or the fair, but about everything." "I know," she replied, a tremor of determination in her voice. "I've wanted to talk too, but I just didn't know how." He nodded, feeling his heart pound. "I don't want to hold back anymore. The world outside may think we have it all together, but inside," Mike faltered, searching for the right words. "Inside, it feels like we're two strangers sharing a home. We're missing each other, and it's hurting Oliver, too." A tear slipped down Sarah's cheek, and she quickly brushed it away. "You're right, Mike. I've been so focused on success, on being the one for our family, that I forgot how important it is to stand together." "Success is important, but not at the cost of our family," Mike replied, his voice steady. "We're still us, and that matters more than anything we achieve on our own. I feel like we've become a team of individuals instead of partners." Sarah took a deep breath, her resolve strengthening. "I agree. I want us to be a family again. We need to fight for it, to talk and to be honest. No more distractions. I want Oliver to feel secure in our love, not wonder if we can weather storms together." "Let us start right now," Mike said, placing his hand on her shoulder, connecting them in a moment he hoped would forge a new path. "Let us show him that we can hold on to each other, no matter how tough it gets." As they stepped into the house, the sound of Oliver's laughter echoed from the kitchen, and for a moment, the shadows faded, replaced by the warmth of their child. They entered to find him setting ingredients out on the counter: blueberries, flour, sugar, and of course, his cherished flowers. "Look! I'm ready!" Oliver cheered, his eyes shining with glee as he stood proudly among the ingredients. Mike smiled, his heart swelling as he turned to Sarah. "See? He sees joy in this," he said, and she nodded, a genuine smile breaking through her earlier anxiety. They worked together, pouring, mixing, and laughing as flour dusted the air like snowflakes. Each step toward the pie brought a step closer to healing. As they began to form the crust, Mike felt lighter. "Mom, can I help with the blueberries?" Oliver asked, holding out his small hands, eager to be part of the magic. "Of course. We're all in this together." "Everyone contributes," Sarah said, her voice filled with warmth as she placed her hands over Oliver's. Just then, as they began to fill the crust, Mike glanced at Oliver, who was genuinely engaged in the process, and he could finally see the potential for transformation within the three of them. "Can we make more than one pie?" Oliver asked, looking between his parents, their faces illuminated by the oven's warm light. "Like a whole pie family?" "Yes," Mike exclaimed, laughter bubbling through him. "Every month, we can try different flavors, creating our very own pie family traditions." Sarah smiled, her heart swelling with newfound purpose, a lightness washing over her spirit. And we'll take pictures for each one, creating memories. As they continued, with laughter filling the kitchen, Mike felt peace settle over them. They would tackle the fears and unspoken truths together, bit by bit, just like they did in baking. In that moment, the ingredients mingled together, like emotions weaving through their hearts, creating something beautiful. They were no longer just a mom and dad, a CEO and factory worker. They were a family, working together with love and honesty to uncover the best versions of themselves for each other and for Oliver. With everything they now shared, Mike felt a fire ignite within him, a determination to face the challenges ahead not alone, but as a united family. This was just the beginning. They still had a long way to go, but now it felt like a journey worth pursuing. As their laughter echoed through their home, the pie baking in the oven, Mike knew one thing for certain: they would always find a way, as long as they continued to stand together and embrace whatever came next as a family. And that realization felt like the sweetest victory of all. And now, if you felt the journey of transformation like Mike, Sarah, and Oliver, this is the moment to show your support. You need to subscribe now to catch all the exclusive stories waiting for you. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and keep the love alive. Comment below your feelings about this journey, and don't forget to share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Together, let us keep building a community rooted in love and honesty.